won't be getting out to be doing any range shooting or field testing today, so it seems like it's an opportune time to put together the video I've been planning to do on some of the best free shooting apps that are around, and one really good paid one which has been really useful in my shooting experience. So let's throw that together. And the weather thinks that's a good idea because it's just started to absolutely hose down. Yep, won't be going out today. Yeah, so this is just going to be a quick video about 3 of the apps that I've found out there in the Android store for the Android platform that have been really useful in my day-to-day shooting. So nip straight into it. Probably the first will be Accuscope. So this is a zeroing calculator. So when you're out there, you've taken your first shots and you've got your shooting group, you come in and open up the calculator, enter in what type of adjustment scope you have, whether it's 1/4 inch MOA, 1 MOA for some of the closer range scopes, and 1/8 MOA for some of the really long distance target scopes. Most common type is 1/4 inch MOA adjustments, and if you want to get any more than that, you will have to take the paid version, but the free version has been great for me with the scopes that I have 1/4 inch MOA, and it's been a really handy tool. I mean, you can figure it out with your head out there on the range, but this just takes the guesswork out of it, and you know that you're definitely making the right adjustments. So let's just say we're zeroing at 50 yards. We've fired a shot that is 5 inches high with elevation and is 2 inches off in windage in either direction. It'll just tell you the distance you need to move. You still need to figure out on your scope which way you're going to go. Get it to calculate, and it will give you the elevation clicks there. So if your shot was 5 inches low, 40 clicks up, and it should have adjusted nice and accurately through there. And your windage clicks, if you're 2 inches to the right, adjust 16 clicks to the left, and you should be through in a 0. Did that just yesterday with re-zeroing my Burris, and yeah, it was nice. I might even insert a clip of that in here just to show you how quick and easy it is when you're using the calculator. So just zeroing the Burris out to 25 yards. 2-shot group for the first one, the 2 bullets in the same hole, and then 1 inch adjustment to the right and 0.75 adjustment to the left, and I think we'll call that zeroed. Right, we are actually out in the range to demo our second app for shooting, and that is GPS Rangefinder. It's another free app, so it's just available on the Android store. I thought there must be something out there that you can use that would utilize the GPS function of your phone, and there is. That's what this app utilizes. I wouldn't measure out any competition shooting ranges with it. I wouldn't expect to be making 1,000-yard shots based off your range calculations from this, but for everyday shooting, when you're shooting down to the range and measuring out a 50-yard target, measuring out a 100-yard target, or you just want to sight in to another distant shooting location, you're not going to do it with measuring tape, and you may not have the dollars to drop on a laser rangefinder. This will do the trick for you. We've got the red dot there which represents us. 2 ways to get a distance reading. One way is that you can drop a pin, and then you wander with the phone out to the location you want to know the measurement of, and this will track your distance as you go, and then when you get there, just take note yourself of when you're 50 yards or there or thereabouts. And the other method is just center on you, we'll just clear that dot, is to measure by landmarks. So if we take a look out here to the right, through there, through there is that round top tree there. Just picking up from other landmarks in the area. That is here. So we just tap on that, and that'll tell us that that's 270.8 yards. So yeah, that's another handy method when you want to shoot across a paddock, drop something over there and you're not at a set distance. You can just measure off against a landmark, and landmarks I've used have been buildings, curvature in the land, telephone poles, fence lines, trees, and it's really good quality satellite footage, so you can pick up those landmarks pretty easily. I've never struggled for something to measure off. So that is the GPS rangefinder, designed for golfing, but perfectly usable in a shooting setting. Okay, so the final app that I want to review and make you guys aware of is the Strelok ballistic calculator. So there's 3 versions of this, one of which is free, which I've re-downloaded for the purpose of showing you guys through today, and there's also Strelok Plus and Strelok Pro. Strelok Pro Plus goes for around about $8 to $9 depending on the American dollar versus New Zealand, and Strelok Pro goes for nearly $20. I originally got the free version and upgraded to the Plus version, and I can personally see the value in it, but I'll explain why a little bit later. But you can get a lot out of this still utilizing the free version of this app. So the idea behind a ballistic calculator, well, how to keep this simple. Hopefully you know that bullets don't fire straight like a laser, and effectively when we're shooting out to long distances, we adjust the scope, which tilts the barrel up, and we're effectively lobbing the bullets down range to compensate for bullet drop at the various ranges. I hope I kept that as simple as I could, or this could be a very long conversation. So the idea behind a ballistic calculator is this goes through, calculates things such as how fast your bullet's going, weather conditions, wind speed, slope, and it gives you an idea of where your bullet's going to be at any given point along that flight path. This is a pretty good one, so pretty simple to use. You chuck in the distance that you're going to be shooting to, say 250 yards, pop in your slope degree angle. So on the right is your target, you're up here on the hill at the bottom or at the top of the hill, and you have a look down and get an estimate for how steep that hill is, and that will give an idea to the calculator of how much that's going to affect the shot. Wind speed, 10 miles per hour. Wind direction is input via, this is you pointing towards your target, and you just point towards the direction that the wind is coming from. So let's just say if it was coming from our left and slightly into our face but offset from over there coming towards us, that's where we'd leave that set for. So that's pretty straightforward to use as well. You have multiple rifles that you can input, rename. So to just show you quickly on my Plus version, I've chucked in my rifles, and you also enter your cartridges that you choose to fire with various brands, and you go through and enter in the ballistic information of those rounds that's generally found on the website for the manufacturer. Speed though, you'll want to try and Google chronograph data, so Gecko 16-inch barrel, or whatever inch barrel your firearm is, and see if you can find somebody's chronograph data for a closer speed. It won't be exact obviously to what the weather conditions that you're shooting in, but it'll be a lot closer than the manufacturer's velocity, which is generally shot out of a test barrel, which is 24 or plus inches, and in perfect conditions. So the advertised velocities will very rarely be exactly what you're shooting. So once you've got your round in there, you also go in and set up your rifle to say where it's zeroed for, the scope height from the bore, what your measurements are in, whether they're 1/4 inches or 1/8 inches, and then you choose your reticle, and there's a ton of options to choose from, and they're updated regularly. So once you've found yours, go back out to the calculator. Yep, so we've got all the correct information in there. Calculate. So that'll tell us, well, let's chuck in some wind speed in there. Okay, so in a 15 mile an hour wind at 508 yards, good luck, I wouldn't be hitting this shot, but hopefully with this calculator. So you would adjust your scope up 36 clicks to, and it calculates it out, and obviously all the different styles of information, either MOA, mil dots or mil radians, actual inches or clicks, and clicks is obviously the most useful to you if you're adjusting on a scope. Calculate that, and then you can pop inside here and it actually shows you where you would hold over. If you weren't going to adjust your scope, that's where you should hold the rifle's reticle to strike the target. And you can adjust this for variable magnification, so that's 4.5 to 14, and you can see that holdover changes. On the axis here, it's got where on anything that's a feature on your reticle should show you where that bullet, so if you put this point of the reticle, you'll be zeroed for 250 yards. If you use this part of the reticle, you'll be hitting at 521 yards. So yeah, really handy, and it's a good way to sort of get your head around ballistics and how the bullets are behaving when you're first starting out and trying to get your head around things. One of the features of the Strelok Plus is trajectory validation. So this actually figures out how fast your bullet is traveling for you. So you can either go out and buy a chronograph and set up and drop a bit of money on that, or you do what I did and pay the $9 odd for Strelok Plus, and you set up for one distance, so you zero your rifle for 100 yards, and then you go out to, and I found a good distance was about 200 yards, and then while you're still zeroed for 100 yards, you shoot a group of test bullets, say 10, go out to the 200 yard target and measure how far they have fallen in inches, and then come back in here, measure each bullet, get an average over the 10, and come back in and put that into here. So let's just say they were dropping 3.6 inches over that distance between 100 and 200 yards. Calculate. So the actual velocity isn't 2,933. The actual velocity, if that was the drop, would be 2,500, and then it gives you the option to just plug that straight into your calculator. So you're really checking on the velocity of the bullets, which is vital. You've got to know how fast they're traveling because that affects the entire flight path. So that's one of the really handy things about Strelok that I found. I'm sure there's more that I haven't even dug into with it, but yeah, I recommend it's definitely get the free version. It's going to cost you nothing. Have a play with it, see what you like about it.
How you like